Hey guys, I'm going to go through all the changes I made for project 2. So for the first part of creating a refile library, I created 2 files. The first one is refile.h. It contains all the declarations for the function itself. The second one, I created the refile.cpp. It contains the declaration of the function, and it is actually linked to the refile.h. As you can see right here, I'm trying to open a file using the open POSIX clause, and more specifically, I use this flag right here to specify how I'm going to open the file, which I'm opening the file in the read-only mode to prevent any accidental change to the file. And next, I use the seek POSIX clause to determine the size of the file, so I can use the size to dynamically allocate the array right here. And lastly, I read the file. Basically, it will read the count of the file and store everything to the buffer array, which I declare right here. Now return this buffer array, and that's how you create a refile.cpp. And next, I created the display file.cpp, which basically provide an interface between the user and the system. And so right here, I check whether the file can be opened. If the file cannot be opened, I'll return an error message. If it can, I'll just return the file content itself. And now I'm just gonna demo the program that I wrote. So the first example is using a file that actually exists. So it's supposed to output the count on the file, which you see right here. It does. So that's a succeed. And next, I'm going to change the file name to a file that doesn't exist. As you can see right here, it outputs an error message, which just means the file doesn't exist. So this function, this text program, which is called in the project, it works. Next, I'm gonna demonstrate what I changed for the GUI program. The first thing I changed is the p2activity.java. Right here, I loaded a library that I wrote for this program. It's called refile.java, and I wrote the code. This is basically, you have to load the library if you want to use the library. And right here, I changed some functionality in the GUI program itself. Add some events that this program have to listen, so that when you click the button, certain procedures has to be performed. Right here, this is how I invoked C++ code in Java files, and you use a real specific format. And when you create the files, it will create the C++ files. The JDK itself will look for this and run the C++ file in here. And what this is basically a new file that I created for the project, and it basically provides an interface between the refile function and the Java function. As you can see right here, for example, it's trying to turn the JString, it's trying to convert the JString into a character string in the C++. And it depends on whether we can open the file. It will either return an error message or it return a count on the file. And it follows a really specific syntax if you want to use C++ code in Java, and you have to use this syntax. And next, I changed the CMake file. This is basically the file that you have to change if you add the library, for example, which is the case right here. You specified, the name of the library and a path to find the library. CMake file is used for compilers to look for the code that you wrote. So if you add any executable code, executable files, you have to change the CMake file so the compiler knows what to look for. So now I'm just going to demo the project. What you can do is you can run this project, and you're going to see this program in your virtual machine. So what you can do is you're going to input the file path. As you can see right here, after you input the file path, the contents file display right here in the text box. That means it runs. So if it changes file to the file that doesn't exist, see what's going to happen. See, it outputs an error message. That means this whole GUI program works. And yeah. Oh, one thing to notice, you might wonder what this refile.h is. It's basically the same file that I created for the refile library, which is the first requirement for the project. It's the same exactly same. So yeah, that's about it. See ya.